It's going to be a quick video going over the Finetrack Kamina Monopole tent, so one pole semi-freestanding tent, and then the Finetrack L4 waterproof jacket. What you need, 2 stakes. That is the minimum. One in the opposite corner. So what makes this Finetrack Kamina Monopole tent different? One, it's got one pole, so that's it, one pole through the center, so it is semi-freestanding. You still need 2 stakes in order to stake it out, but that is a lot less stakes than you would need for, say, a trekking pole tent. So, you know, you have your pole that gives you the stability from, you know, one diagonal, and then you have your stakes on the other 2 diagonals, and that's it. That will allow the tent to stand. Now, if you want it to perform really well in high winds, high weather, you can stake up to 9. That will keep it really solid and sturdy in high winds, but if it's calm, nice day, 2 stakes is all you need. Now, the other thing that's pretty unique about this tent is it has a window. It has a ventilation hole window that goes right into the tent, so you can see it goes right into the tent. And I was pretty confused about this at first because I've never seen this on a tent, but actually I really like this feature. So you can cinch it down, make it waterproof, you can keep air from coming in or out, but if it's nice, you open it up and it actually allows a lot of airflow. You would be surprised at how much airflow this allows between the tent door and the window. And it's cool, you can look out the side. Right, in a normal tent, if this is just a wall, you can't look out the side, but I can look and see through my window, see what's on the other side of my tent. It's like a triangle little vestibule. Yeah. It's the same way.
Oh wow.
Yeah. All right.
There's no way. There's no way.
Like, it goes through.
Dude, that is so hilarious.
So I could be laying in here and you can walk by and pass me.
Oh my gosh, so we could just...
Alright, let's do a little walk around. Alright, let's see. I got my shoes on still, but that's alright. Yeah, I got enough room for my head and my legs. And here's my little window. Look at that, got a little window. Here's my legs. Here's my head. You know, about the same headroom as my Lanshan. I'm pretty tall, 6'1", so my head hits it, but we'll try tonight. So the tent comes in at an impressive 1.5 pounds. I like how quick and easy it is to set up. So a traditional freestanding tent, you put the inner up first, and then you put the rainfly over, and then so if you're doing that in a storm, your inner is going to get wet. The cool thing about this is all one piece, and you just put it up, and nothing inside is getting wet. And my favorite feature, it's got to be this window, this ventilation window. It's just so much fun, and it's very practical and it's very useful. I was in this tent on top of Mount Ellen on the long trail when a thunderstorm rolled in. It's like super high winds, a ton of rain, and the tent held up just fine. So I'm very impressed by that. Normally, you know, we didn't think it was gonna storm that night, so normally I would not set up in a space like that, but the fact that the tent was able to weather it and do just fine, I think that speaks a lot to the durability of the tent. And I think that's kind of the design of this, is they built it for 4 seasons, I think with the intent of being on some of these higher exposed mountains. I guess there's a lot of mountaineering and things like that that go on around, you know, Japan and the Pacific Rim area. So that's kind of the design. It's a little bit overkill for through hiking because typically like I'm going to choose a spot to set up where it is not in high winds and getting blasted and all that. But it is nice to know that it will survive that if you encounter those situations. So this tent, I think it would be best for kind of shoulder season hiking and then winter hiking. And at the price point for like a typical through hike in the summer, I think I would probably still go with a Dyneema trekking pole tent, just because it would be a little bit lighter, the trekking pole tent, and you don't need so much kind of insulation, because this tent it can be like really warm, which is great for like, it's now in September, we're in Maine, so when it's cold at night, I hop in that tent and it's like 15 degrees warmer. But in the summer, you don't really need that, and it might actually be too hot. So I think for like a traditional through hike in normal seasons, I might still go with a trekking pole tent. But if you're hiking in the shoulder seasons, in the winter especially, I think this would be a fantastic winter tent. So like with all single wall tents, you will deal with condensation. I do find that if I open up the door and then open up the window and then I'm camped around trees, like I haven't had condensation for like the last 2 weeks. But up in Vermont, when it rained a ton and there's like the hurricane coming through, I did get some condensation that night when I had everything kind of buttoned down because it was raining. But you just deal with that any sort of single wall tent, so it's not a unique problem. It's not that big of a deal. People freak out about condensation, but it's like, okay, your sleeping bag gets a little bit damp, you dry it during the day, it's not a big deal. So I'm pretty impressed by this tent. The ability to stake it out with only 2 stakes is really cool. The fact that it is 1.5 pounds with a pole, that's pretty cool. The fact that it has a little window, that's really cool. The vestibule is a little bit small, and I think for the summer times it could be too hot, but that makes it like better for the winter time. So that's what I would use this tent for, like, shoulder season, winter hiking, and stuff that you might encounter more wind, places where it might be harder to stake out like a trekking pole tent. All those sorts of things are the use cases for this Kamina monopole. So this is the Finetrack L4 waterproof jacket. It does come in a version that has a hood. I should have gotten it. That was my mistake when I put in my order. So recommend, if you're getting this, get the version with the hood. But this jacket, super versatile. If you've seen my review on their Polygon L3 jacket, kind of same thing. They just really thought through it. So I really like, there's pit zips right here. Nice pit zips. There's a pocket. So you could put, probably what I would put in here would be like electronics, cellular, stuff like that when it's cold, so that it's against my body and it's not freezing. And of course, the main zipper. This jacket is 250 grams. So the pros of this jacket: 1, it doesn't wet out. It is amazing how many raincoats wet out after a lot of rain happens. So it's like, what is the point of your raincoat if it doesn't work when it rains a lot? So we wore this, I wore this on the long trail. There was a hurricane, wore it all day during the hurricane. It didn't wet out. So if you have a raincoat, waterproof jacket, it should be waterproof all day, and this one certainly is. Well, if you ever wanted to know what it's like to hike in a hurricane, this is it's not so bad. Something different. The pit zips and the main zipper allows you to regulate your temperature really well. I really like that about all the Finetrack jackets, that they all have pit zips. I like that it's durable. So everybody at this point has ripped their Frog Togs, and that's what happens with your cheap Frog Tog rain jackets. They get ripped on these branches and stuff. I actually rammed this one on the left side into a tree, and I thought for sure I'd ripped it, but it held up just fine. So it's going to be a lot more durable and long lasting than your lighter, cheaper rain jackets. It does breathe surprisingly well. Of course, any waterproof layer is not going to be that breathable, but I'm surprised by how breathable it actually is. So I can wear it for a little bit and not work up too much of a sweat, especially when it's colder. I think in like October, November months, this is going to be a good layer to wear just as a general warmth layer. And I found, yeah, if it's like cold and raining, like this is the it's a better layer than just like a pair of frog togs, because it will keep you a little bit warmer in addition to keeping you dry. And sorry, that is to say a little bit warmer without getting sweaty in addition to keeping you dry. The main downside, it is 250 grams. So again, this would be a layer that I would wear in the shoulder seasons and in the winter. I think that's the sweet spot. In the summer, you just don't need something this heavy. In the summer, you really don't need a rain jacket most of the time. I always recommend to carry one, but yeah, so then, you know, I would just go with the lightest weight thing. Then it doesn't matter if it's super breathable or, you know, keeps you warm or whatever else, because you just need that little layer. But in the shoulder seasons, especially, you know, when it's like cold, freezing rain, that's when you really want something that performs really well. And I think this fits that niche. And it's just a nice looking jacket. This is something you could throw on in town and look like a normal person versus all the random, you know, like homeless looking hiker gear that people have. Yeah, so overall, not something that I would carry in the summer. It's a little bit too heavy for that. But for the shoulder seasons, like we're gonna hit Katahdin here pretty soon and then start heading south. And then it's gonna be September, October, November. It's gonna be cold rains coming in, and that's gonna be the perfect jacket for that that time. And then like when it's not raining in camp, I can wear like a direct alpha layer or like the Finetrack L3 polygon like puffy jacket underneath. I think those two combined will be super insulating. And I think when it's like really cold, if it's like 10-20 degrees out, I might wear like a direct alpha or that polygon jacket along with this jacket, even if it's not raining. And I think that'll keep me enough insulation to stay warm and comfortable and breathable, because that's the other thing. You know, if it's just a normal rain jacket, they're not breathable. But these are actually, they have Everbreath technology. I don't know the specifics, but it is more breathable. So that all combined makes it a pretty versatile jacket. Just, you know, a lot of the stuff in here, the technology in here, you don't need in the summer. But when it gets colder, you know, fall, I think, yeah, that's the sweet spot. Like when it's that cold rain is when you're going to be wanting this jacket. So those are my thoughts on the Finetrack Kamina Monopole tent and then the Finetrack L4 layer. I'm pretty impressed with all their stuff. I'm looking forward to testing out more of the gear. It's yeah, it's been like an unknown brand over here in the US, but I've been just super impressed by their engineering. Everything they make is like super well thought through and just performs so well. So I think this is like a sleeper company, and in, you know, 5-10 years you're going to see a lot more of their products used on trail, just because of how, you know, their weight to performance ratio is just so good, and just all their little, you know, little details that they really take care of. That's what I'm impressed with the Finetrack products. So all the links will be in the description. You can check them out, and yeah, thanks for watching.